I have one question.
Yes.
I'm looking at all of my loan information for my mortgage, and a couple of people that have been trying to get me to refi.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the direction I want to go in. Because what I was trying to do is get rid of my MPI. I have a FHA 30-year 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get rid of my MPI
Yep.
by going conventional.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something I should do to help me move this along?
How long have you had the mortgage?
A year.
So now what you need to know is if I use the P.I.L.L method and accelerate my payoff in 7 to 9 years, would I save more money by doing that or by refinancing and getting rid of the MPI? And we have to do the math to figure that out. There is no rule of thumb that's going to say, this is what we do in all situations here. We just do the math and say, okay, which one is cheaper for Keba?
Right, because on the refi, they're looking at 2.62. So my interest rate would go up from 2.25 to 2.62.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be a 20-year loan, not a 30-year loan.
Never get a 20.
Okay.
That's a definite. Never do that. If you're going to refi, keep it at 30 and just pay it off in 7. See, when you're focusing on paying off the debt, especially if you're accelerating it in our program doesn't care how many years you owe $30,000. It just knows that you owe $30,000 and it's going to pay it off in 7.
Okay.
If so, let's say if you signed up to pay it for 40 years, it's still paying off in 7. You signed up to pay it for 100 years, you still paid off in 7. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So when the MPI adds $160 onto my mortgage.
Right.
When I had to look at, I did get analysis on a 30-year too, and it wasn't much savings doing a conventional.
But see, here's the thing. You're looking at a 30-year loan.
Uh-huh.
And when you're accelerating the payoff, all of those things that they're quoting you based on a 30-year loan go out the window if you can pay it off in 7 or 9 years.
So your recommendation would be to take the FHA 2.25 with the MPI and compare it against a conventional loan, and then look at the P.I.L.L method to see which one would give me the best savings.
There you go. Yeah, have a computer figure it out. Because see, listen, I could drive all over town and figure out which gas station is cheaper, but I use my app and it tells me which one is cheaper, and I drive to that one.
And that's through the link that I got last couple of weeks ago, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Fill that out.
Yes, fill that out.
I paid off. I had 3 credit cards and I paid them off last week. So I was trying to get all that out the way so they won't be part of the number.
Exactly. So listen, folks, we can help you to do all of that. How to pay off the debt, which debts to pay off that's going to save you the most amount of money. And one of the things that you're going to learn is probably what you've been taught to do. We're not going to teach the same thing. You assume that we are, but we don't. Like somebody says, well, I want to pay off all my credit cards first. And I said, well, how much interest are you saving? And they'll say, I don't know. So which loans should we attack? We want to attack the loans where we're saving the most amount of interest, not interest rate, but interest cost. You've got to know what the interest cost is on each loan to choose the right loan to attack. Does that make sense?
Right. All of my cards were 0% interest, so I was straight.
Oh, so you were 0% interest?
Mm-hmm.
Then here's what just happened. You took money to pay off free money.
Well, the promotional period was going to end in January.
That's true, but it was still free. And so I had a guy who was saying, you know, Don, I need to pay off these loans because they're my client. And they said, I need to pay these loans off before the end of the year. So we need to raise our payment so we can be done. And I said, well, why is that? And they says, well, if we're not done on time, we have to pay the accrued interest. And I said, well, how much interest are you trying to avoid? He said, 17%. I said, no, that's the interest rate. How much interest in dollars and cents are you trying to avoid? And he said, I don't know. I said, don't you think we should? You're making financial moves to avoid a certain amount of money, and you have no idea how much that is. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now I think it was like $5,000. Now on this loan here, he was trying to pay it off. And so when we looked at it, he called up Lowe's and said, if I don't pay this off, how much is it going to cost me in accrued interest? They said $300. So he came and moved it back down to the minimum payment. Do you know why? Because even on this loan I have on the screen, that we're putting back up on the screen right now, So if I'm looking at this, I could pay off the $5,000 and avoid the $300 in interest Lowe's wants to charge me, or I could put $5,000 on this mortgage here, knock off over 3 years and save $15,000 with the same $5,000. So then the question becomes, would I pay $300 in order to save $15,000 on my mortgage? Then it becomes a simple question after that, doesn't it?
Yes, smart. Yeah.
So it's all about how much interest. So we're just trading a higher amount of interest savings for a lower amount of interest savings. So the more interest you pay, the longer you stay in debt. Cut that interest out. Now, the credit cards are still going to be paid off before the mortgage, of course. Okay. But you'll know when to pay on the credit cards and you know when to pay on the mortgage, so that the amount of interest that you save overall will be less. We're looking down the road 7 years, and most people are looking at, oh, I'm looking till January when they're going to charge me. We're looking way past that. Does that help?
Yeah. That does. My reason for paying off the credit card wasn't so much of avoiding interest, was because I'm looking at being a co-borrower on a loan for my son that just graduated from college.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to show a better credit score with a debt to income ratio.
I got it. Debt to income ratio is very, very important. But you want to talk to one of our lenders on stage, and there are ways to even get around the debt to income ratio.
Okay.
So talk to Kenya. Make sure you talk to Kenyatta.
That's my favorite subject.
Kenyatta and I have back channeled each other, so I'll be reaching out to you, Kenyatta.
See, there's so much to learn about these things, and don't assume what you've been taught out there is the only way to skin this cat.
Well, see, that's the thing. We wanted to do all these other extracurricular stuff in school, but they're not teaching financial literacy.
No, ma'am, they're not. And that's why we're here in this space.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.